All right. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Vicki Dillon. I'm with Workwise Aptian, and I'm in charge of learning and development. And I've been working with the Business Process Repository, or the BPR, for a little over 10 years now, together with Tejas Nurkar, who's the founder of Optimum Output, and they are the creators of the BPR. So Tejas, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Vicki, thanks for putting this together.
Oh, you bet. It's always fun. It's fun to work with.
Definitely.
So, so really the purpose for today is to provide training for new people who haven't really used the BPR, or perhaps it's been quite a while, maybe since you have used it, but also to introduce some pretty exciting new features and functions that you may not even be aware that you have available in the BPR. And along those lines, at the end of the call, we'll get to have a surprise from Tejas. So we'll leave that surprise.
That's something that even you, Vicki, even you have not seen. So in the spirit of Apple's One More Thing, we're holding the One More Thing as a surprise even for Vicki.
Which I'm excited to see. So Christmas early. So for those of you that are new to the BPR, let me, talk about what it is at a high level. So really there's a couple of functions that are really at the heart of the BPR. So first and foremost, it's a set of libraries designed to store any number of procedures, standard operating type of procedures. It's a cloud-based application. It's very easy to customize the content to meet the requirements of your business. And I'll be showing you how to do that in just a little bit. You can put in any kind of content. So it isn't just for computer-based procedures, although most people, that's what they store in here, but you can put in any kind of procedure, including things like maybe safety procedures out on your warehouse floor, or how to properly pack and ship your products to your customers. So any procedure that's related to your business can go into these libraries and be immediately available to your team and even your customers if you want to share things with your customers. They can be video, and I'll show you examples of that. Something that's relatively new is the ability to share 3D CAD drawings. Any of you on this call in an environment where you make great use of 3D CAD drawings? You can just shout it out. So we have quiet people. How about in the chat window?
Ted said yes.
There we go. In the chat window, just a Y for yes if you use CAD drawings extensively, N for no. And Ted, remind me what company are you with again, please? Okay, Anita says no. Lois says yes. Okay. I'm going to show you that function in just a little bit. It's really very helpful, not just as a tool internally, but our customers are finding that they can use this as a way, especially during these COVID times where face-to-face meetings aren't always possible. It provides you a way to interactively share these CAD drawings, perhaps during the design phase or whatever, or the sales process with your customers. So I'll show you what that looks like. You can put in manuals, you can put in your technical manuals or whatever, images, whatever. So it's, again, libraries are at the heart of the BPR. But it's also a tool to help you develop these procedures, to quickly create and distribute these procedures, again, with your team or with your customers. Are any of you on this call required to follow ISO procedures? Just type a Y for yes. Okay, got a couple. So this is also a tool that helps you comply with these ISO requirements and report on them without really any other work on your part. And I'm going to show you an example of what these reports look like if you're not familiar with them. They serve a lot of other uses, even if it's not the case that you have to comply with ISO. The reports can be used for many reasons, and I'll show you a few ideas you might consider in just a little bit. And then finally, it's a distribution tool. Because it's cloud-based and everybody has access to it, anything you create and store in these libraries is instantly shared with your team, your customers, or your prospects. So you're not storing things on a network drive and hoping people know where to find it, or printing out procedures in some kind of a binder and trying to distribute them, or emailing them. They're just stored in the library where they're immediately available. You don't have to maintain a website, none of that stuff. So these three functions are really kind of the core of the BPR. The uses include, it's a tool that we use with our professional services team, which you might have already encountered. It can be a tool used for support. So many of you are already doing this, where if you're encountering a question or an issue, for example, with, let's say, ERP, you might capture what it is that you're doing in ERP as a BPR procedure and submit it to our support team, and that way they know exactly what you are doing, in what order, and what error you were encountering. And they can very quickly respond without having to dig deeper to get the details. And they can even respond, in many cases, directly by creating perhaps a new BPR to show you what you need to do in order to correct the issue. Our sales team is using the BPR, like I mentioned, as well as our customers, to show off our products. Marketing can use this to see what procedures are people looking at most frequently, or which customers are looking at what content, and that can help them direct some of their marketing efforts. So again, just wanted to, for those of you that are new in particular, cover what it is that the BPR is all about. But it's one of those things that's easier to see, to understand, than it is to talk about. So we're going to bring it up here. I'm just going to get rid of some clutter. Okay, so hopefully, can you all see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'm logged into currently a Workwise library called ERP version 10. This is one of several libraries that I have access to. If you have access to more than one library, you're going to see a little drop down. And in my case, I have, many libraries that I can log into very quickly with a click. Okay. I also, some of our customers have given us permission to be able to log into their library because they want us to be able to put content directly in their library. Primarily our services team. So for example, if Associated Glass wanted to have their consultant capture month-end procedures in their library, their custom procedures, they don't have to, travel on site or anything like that. They can just log in directly to this BPR library and create that content for them. So it's a really efficient way to provide that kind of interaction.
And Vicky, I would just add that if anybody on the call today is working with a Workwise consultant or a vendor, an IT vendor or a Workwise consultant, you can let us know that you want them to have access to your library. So you could email us at support@optimumoutput.com. Let us know who your Workwise consultant is, and we can grant them access to your library. So your consultants, whether they're Workwise or IT, for example, they can have access to your library with your permission.
Great. So I'm currently going to show you the ERP procedures. I just want to show you what the procedures might look like for those of you that are new. It might be a little bit of review for some of you. If you're not aware, we give you over 300 ERP procedures already done for you. And we add to that content every quarter. We also have a similar library for CRM procedures. So those of you that might be CRM customers, in that library, we have over 200 procedures already captured for you. So we try to do a lot of the heavy lifting across our product line. And in our library content, we have primarily two types of content. So the first is step-by-step procedures. I'm going to show an example in accounts receivable. And I'm picking that on purpose because I'm definitely not a financial person nor ERP. I'm much more of a CRM person. But let's say that I did not know how to do credit application. Maybe I'm filling in for somebody in the office. Maybe I'm a new employee. Maybe I'm new to this version of ERP. Or maybe I'm just testing the software and I want to take a look at the generic procedure. So a step-by-step procedure looks like this. We see a screenshot. Actually, let me go in the version 10 content because most of you are on version 10. So I'm going to switch versions. We'll do the same thing. So let's go into cash management in this case. I could have gone to credit application, but I don't know any financial stuff, so it doesn't matter which one I pick. But in each of these step-by-step procedures, we get like this, showing me a screenshot of the software, a red marker as far as where I need to click, and instructions. So if you could imagine maybe on another monitor or side by side to this, I have the ERP system. It's very easy for me to follow along with these steps. I know that I need to click on finance, and that's where it is on the screen. Then I need to expand the accounts receivable and so forth. I can double click to zoom in. I want a closer look. But even if in this case I've never done a cash transaction, I can get myself through the procedure. Okay. That make sense? You guys are so quiet. You can talk. But the other kind of content that we have given you are video. So here's an example. If I didn't know anything about cash management, we have probably got about, I would say 80% of this library is step-by-step procedures and the other 20% are videos. These are typically webinars, an hour or less, but this would teach me about cash management in this case. If I didn't know anything about it, it gives me a chance to learn more. Okay. So that's what the viewer looks like. And that's one of the main functions we have. If I scroll down here, you're going to see, for those of you that are ERP people, quite a lot of the ERP system has been captured in this format. So there's, just like I said, hundreds of procedures already created for you. But it could be that in your world, maybe you've modified the software, or maybe you do cash management, let's say, differently in your world or whatever. You are going to have in this drop down a library for your company, or maybe more than one library. And in there, you can put whatever content is unique to your world. And it doesn't even have to be related to Workwise. So maybe you want to capture a procedure that is on some other kind of system, or as I mentioned, perhaps something on your shop floor or whatever. So creating content is really easy. I'm just going to use an example of Microsoft Publisher. And let's just say I want to capture a procedure for how to create thank you cards. And I'm doing this on purpose in a non-ERP application, just so you can see proof that it works with anything. So I'm going to bring up the software I want to capture. And then let's just say this was part of my job as a marketing person to create thank you cards to send out to my customers. If I want to capture that as a business procedure, while I'm doing it, I just hit create. I have to, on the screen, say where I need to store this in the library to make it easy for people to find it. And I can either select from the choices I see. I'm going to pick test. But if I didn't see an obvious category, you can just type the name you want. That adds a new category for you. So I'm going to name this, give it a description, and then this last drop down here is simply a second way to categorize this procedure. It gives people two ways, easy ways to look for whatever they need. So maybe it's a function only administrators would need to do, or whatever. I'm going to put this in a category called sandbox and click on process. So now I just have to create my thank you cards, do my job. As I'm doing it, in the bottom right corner here, you can see that I'm in capture mode. I can either pause or stop what I'm doing. So if I go up here and start creating my cards, I get a nice little template here. I can, let me make this a little bit bigger here. I can put a text box on here if I want. I'm just kind of making this up. I'm going to make that font stand out. Let's make it much bigger. Okay. All right, so let's say that's my thank you card, my procedure. I'm going to click to stop capturing. So, and move this out of the way. So now the editor opens up, and you can see what's happened is each of these numbered steps that I see here represent me clicking. So the first thing I did was I double clicked on something called thank you cards. On the right side, I see a screenshot that was automatically created and marked for me with this red marker. And this text was automatically generated. I can edit anything I see here if I want to. In this first step, I probably don't need to. The second thing I did was click on create. Here, I was changing my screen size, if you recall. So I really don't need that step. I'm going to delete it. It's really not technically part of the procedure. Same thing with this one. I'll delete. Here I drew a text box, and then maybe I want to change the automatic generated text in here to say, type whatever instruction I want. So there's generated instruction, but you can change any of it, delete it, do what you like. And you can even edit the image itself. So let's say that I want to change this image, and I want to, maybe I want to crop the image to just zoom in on a certain area. I could have also used like, draw with a pencil, X marks the spot, whatever changes or edits I want to make to the image. And I can save that as I'm going along. So with very little work, almost as quickly as it took me to create this process or do my work, I can just click save. And it's going to ask me to confirm where I want to put this in the library. So while it's doing that, think about those things in your environment, and maybe you've even run into it given recent times where, a key person who's maybe the one person responsible for doing whatever in your world isn't available. If they had taken the time to document what they do, makes it very easy for somebody to back up that person. So now if I just look at what I created, I'm going to go down here to my test. And then I had my thank you card. So here's my procedure. And as soon as I saved it in the library, every user that has access to this library can now see this procedure that I created. Anyone have any questions on this so far? I mean, it's pretty easy, but all right. So let's talk a little bit about some features that you maybe aren't aware we had. This is really for those people using CAD drawings. So let me resize this a little bit so I can see. There is now a 3D viewer that is designed to work with the BPR. It's going to eventually become part of the installed application that we just looked at, but today it's a web portal. We go to this website here, and this is a place where you can drag and drop your 3D files into the library. Once you've got a file loaded in here, like any 3D viewer, I can rotate it, I can measure, let's say from here to here, I can explode the, I forget where my explode is here on. There we go. Okay. So now I can pull those pieces apart, whatever. If you're working with 3D drawings, this kind of a tool is super helpful for sales, for customer service, to work with for your engineering team. For those of you that have ERP version 10, you can take this URL and create a panel right in your ERP dashboard that displays your 3D CAD library right in ERP, so you don't even have to leave it. So that's the 3D viewer. And then finally, I want to show you guys, any questions on that before I move along, anybody? Okay, so I want to show you what a report looks like. So these reports can be generated from the BPR by an administrator. For those of you that are administrators, you can do this anytime you want from within the BPR. If you go to this little gear and generate a report, you can choose the library you want to report on and the time period and generate your report When you do, you get the option to get it emailed to you, which I already created one earlier, so I'm just looking at that. The reports are Excel spreadsheet format. On the bottom, there's several tabs. They all have uses, you can get creative with all the uses. So the users are basically, this is helpful as people come and go with your organization. You can see who's the active users, who are your administrators, and what security level they have. That way you can maintain your users easily. There's a summary. So in this particular library, I have 207 files. The BPR library tab shows me every single thing in my library. So those of you that have to conform with ISO, notice automatic revision checking is done. So we can see here's an example where here's a procedure. There are 3 revisions that have been done to it. So it's the kind of thing that they like to keep track of when they're doing an audit for ISO. I can see where it's stored in the library. If I go over here to the right, I can see who created the content and when it was put in there. With this tab, there's a lot of purposes. One of the things I like to do, for example, during an implementation for ERP in this case, is I like to sort that content alphabetically. So I can see here are all, let's say, the functions that an administrator might need to do in this library. So if I'm working with a customer and I'm training a CRM administrator in this case, I can say, here's the content that maybe you want to review before our scheduled time to meet. You could save some money that way. You're going to come better prepared to work with me and maybe come with questions already formed and that sort of thing. It's also a way for you to easily track what's in your library. You might want to review things like if you know that this has 4 revisions or 5 revisions, maybe you want to take a look at the latest revision and sign off on it, that kind of thing. The Files Viewed tab is going to show me which user looked at what content and when they did it. So these are some users that are new to Aptian, and I'm training them on CRM. So I use this today for this training purpose. So I know that Sumya has been looking at the videos I assigned to him. So has Yashwanth, okay, and Shri. One user I see hardly doing anything is Pradnya. She's been keeping up with the training, but I may want to circle back with her and find out why maybe she hasn't caught up. Does she need more time? Is she having questions or whatever? So as a training tool, this is great. And then finally, I can also see what files were created by what user and when they created them and where they stored them. And I like this because I might want to review what, in this case, Kevin added, just to make sure, it doesn't have typos, that the content is clear, that it's been filed in a logical place in the library so that users can find it. So like any library, I act almost like the librarian and, just kind of keep tabs on making sure everything is squared away content-wise in that library. So I'm not going to save that. Any questions so far? Okay, so let me pick on some people. If you have already been a user of the BPR, can you type a Y in the chat for me if you've used it already? Okay, wow, lots of whys. That's good. So let me pick on somebody. Lois, can I call on you? And maybe if you could unmute your phone, can you just tell us how you've been using it? Have you been working with a services person or just on your own, or give us a little background?
Well, we just started, I guess last year, starting to play with it and creating some documents. Most of my colleagues have been creating the documents. I've been just reviewing them.
Okay. And are you using?
I'm one of the admins for Polytronics.
Oh, okay, great. So are you a ERP admin?
No.
Are you guys
Not yet.
at Poly? Have you begun to capture your own unique content there?
They've fooled around with some of the procedures and things like that, just mainly training. So we haven't really used it to its full capacity yet.
Okay. And then before the BPR, how are you guys, or how have you been capturing procedures at Polytronics?
Well, we have our own set of procedures, quality procedures and documents. But they're Word files or PDF files. So having the BPR will probably help other people to access them and show step by step on how to do certain things in like, let's say, in production.
Sure. So are you the person who has to create those procedures in Word?
Sometimes, yes. I've done many of them, mainly
Isn't that
for
fun?
yeah.
Copy the image, paste it into an editor, mark it up, copy that, edit back into Word. So just the speed at which you can create the procedures with the BPR versus a method like that is a huge time saver. And, hopefully you guys.
Well, we're certainly going to try it. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, you know where to go if you need a hand. How about anyone else? How about Mary Jane? I know you guys have been using it. You want to share a little bit with what you've done with it and where you. Well, maybe you're muted, Mary Jane. How about Jeff?
I have not been using it at all. I just learned about it a couple of weeks ago, so this is all new to me.
And unfortunately, you don't have a web connection to see any of this, so hopefully the recording will help make sense of it for you. So, it's okay. Well, just like I said, a few things I wanted to show you. Tejas, is there anything I've missed that you want me to show before you have your surprise for everybody?
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for hanging in for the surprise. You too, Vicky. Before I get to the surprise, Vicky, I think two features which may be important for you to show. I don't know if you're able to. If you're not, it's no problem. I can just mention them. The ability to add a text slide in the BPR. I think that's important because what we are trying to do is really think about your businesses and think about all the different ways you might create content. Recording is, of course, one way, but you may want to also add text slides and have text-only procedures. So you can also do that in the BPR. So if you have a BPR like this, you can add a step. And when you add a step, you have a few different options. You can add a text slide or you can upload an image. I'm going to show you both of them. So if you add a text slide here, essentially what happens is on the right side, you get a nice canvas to type your text instructions. You can add bullets, basic formatting, but essentially we are a visual training app, but we want to make sure our application adjusts to the way you all work. And some like words, some like pictures. So that's something that definitely has been accommodated. And this is a really nice feature. So you can add text slides between your images.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to screenshots, you can also add physical images of your shop floor by just uploading an image using that add image icon. So Vicky, I'm going to embarrass you. I don't know if you have any pictures on your computer that you can throw in
I
there.
have a great one.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was in my
What's that,
backyard.
Vicky?
That was in the backyard of my old house. We used to get so many deer. It was heavily wooded, and these two guys were fighting over the seed by the bird feeder, and maybe 10 feet away from my window.
So cool.
No, but again, this could be a picture of a machine on your shop floor. This could be a picture of your product and how to, assemble various components. So it could be anything. Okay.
And we want to, again, make sure whatever assets that you have, whether they're images, whether it's a recording you want to do of your work, whether they're your 3D models, we want to make it easy for you to create this SOP library, the standard operating procedure library. That's simple. That's a key tenet for our product. That's fast. That's a key tenet to our product, and one that's beautiful. We really try to make the design as beautiful as possible. So with that aptly kind of word, I'll go to the one more thing. So Vicky, I'm going to ask you, can you switch the presenter control to me?
Absolutely. There you go.
Great. I'm going to now share my screen and start broadcasting. So I'm going to be broadcasting from somewhere a little bit interesting. I'm going to be broadcasting from my mobile phone. So the first thing I'm going to show you that is quite cool is the mobile app. So this mobile app, this is something that's available on Android and iOS. And what we have now available in the mobile app is those 3D drawings. So Vicky alluded to them being a separate web portal. Now those 3D files can be available to you within your mobile BPR library. So if I click on Cybertruck here, it's going to open up the Cybertruck CAD file on my phone. So that's the first thing that I want to show you, the fact that the 3D is available on your mobile. So here we go. We can move this around, and I'm a huge Tesla fan, so this is the Tesla Cybertruck. So I can look at that Cybertruck. So now this is integrated into the BPR on your mobile phone. With the mobile app, you're able to, of course, create content too. So Vicky showed you how you can upload photos from the desktop app into the editor. You can also do that from the mobile app. Here you can create step-by-step instructions. So that's the first thing, Vicky, that I wanted to surprise you with.
That's
the
very
fact
cool.
that 3D is now supported in the mobile app.
Awesome.
And now the second thing I'm going to surprise you with is this. It's a 2.5 minute video of something we just finished today. And let me just back up here. So what you'll see on your screen is when Vicky was creating content, she had a record button, but she didn't have that button next to record called drag and drop. So now when you create content in the BPR, this is going to be available on December 16th in all of your libraries. It's going to automatically push out to your libraries with an update. You'll see that drag and drop button. Now, when you press on drag and drop, you're able to drag and drop your existing PDFs or pictures right here into this drag and drop panel. And it takes those PDFs that you might have Louise talked about those quality manuals that you have in PDF format. It takes that PDF, it understands that there are 30 steps in that PDF, it optimizes that PDF, it compresses it, it converts it into a BPR, and it becomes, of course, searchable. So all the text on those pages becomes searchable, and then it gets uploaded into the cloud. So you could put pictures here, you could put a combination of photos, you could put your PDFs here. So if you have two different PDFs that you want to make into one process, you could drag them both there. And then it opens up into your editor. And on the left side, you'll see your slide titles, and on the right side, you'll see the pages. So you can record around this PDF. You could add other images, you could edit text, and you can save it right into your library. So this ability to put PDFs, again, you have assets that you've already created that you want to put into a central location, but then also make it easy to update. And that's what we've done with the BPR. It was always our focus to make it easy for users to create, process content, and that's why we started with the recorder. But now it's equally important to not just record content, but grab other pieces of content that you might already have created and drag and drop them into the BPR. So here's what it would look like in the viewer, and you can zoom in and look at the document, and again further edit it in the simple BPR ways. So with that, Vicky, I'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, that's the first time I've seen it. I love it. That is very cool. So, do any of you guys have a lot of content created already in PDF that would be valuable to put in your library? Just type a Y for yes. We got a lot of yeses. So that's coming December, 16th, you said?
That's right, Vicky.
Okay. So we only have to wait a couple of weeks and we can get all that content into your library. That's very cool. Well, thank you, Tejas. That's exciting.
I love to do it, because I really believe that it is our responsibility to make all these beautiful assets that you all have already created, but they're disparate. The CAD drawings are incredible. Your products, the CAD drawings are incredible, and you want to showcase them. The quality manuals you have spent, of course, a lot of time doing it, maybe the hard way, but you have them. So we want to make sure we help you uncover those assets and put them in a nice, simple SOP warehouse that's searchable. So thanks, Vicky.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks to everyone for their feedback, because you all have made it possible with all of the feedback you've given us about things that you'd like to see. So definitely keep it coming. We're very inspired by you all.
Awesome. Okay. Any last questions, comments? Is this helpful, you guys? Thanks, Lois. Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us this afternoon, and we're looking forward to doing this on a regular basis for other new users you may have in your world. So watch for those invitations and more. Watch for those features to keep coming. Tejas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Vicky.
All right. Well, have a great rest of the day, everybody. And we'll look forward to meeting with you soon.
Thanks, everybody, for joining.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.